Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Zodcast. I'm going to start out with a little music while everybody pops on real quick.
To the town of our free rode a stranger one fine day. Hardly spoke to folks around him, didn't have too much to say. No one dared to ask his business, no one dared to make a slip. The stranger there among them had a big iron on his hip, big iron on his hip. It was early in the morning when he rode into the town. He came riding from the south side, slowly looking all around. He's an outlaw, loose and running, came the whisper from each lip. And he's here to do some business with a big iron on his hip, big iron on his hip. In this town there lived an outlaw by the name of Texas Red. Many men had tried to take him, and that many men were dead. He was vicious and a killer, though a youth of 24, and the notches on his pistol numbered 1 in 19 more, 1 in 19 more. Now the stranger started talking, made it plain to folks around. Was an Arizona Ranger, wouldn't be too long in town. He came here to take an outlaw back alive or maybe dead. And he said it didn't matter, he was after Texas Red, after Texas Red. Wasn't long before the story was relayed to Texas Red. But the outlaw didn't worry, men that tried before were dead. 20 men had tried to take him, 20 men had made a slip. 21 would be the ranger with the big iron on his hip, big iron on his hip.
Thanks for letting me know about the echo, Ed. I turned the volume down, so hopefully I'm experimenting. So hopefully next time I'll turn the mic volume down or just unplug it. Hey, Jay. Yeah, I know. That's one of my favorite songs ever. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. I just got the news that Lisa Marie Presley passed away. After going into the hospital earlier. So I'm a big Elvis fan. So I'm kind of, I'm definitely bummed out about that. That's Elvis's only child, and she's passed now. So it's really sad. So rest in peace, Lisa Marie Presley. Man, it's gonna take me a few days to digest that one because she'd just been everywhere. She just did the Elvis's birthday at Graceland. She was at the Golden Globes thing with her mother when Austin Butler won the Golden Globe for Best Actor for the Elvis movie. So God, it's sad. I mean, it's just kind of breaking right now. So it's just really tragic that she's gone, but I guess she's reunited with her father. It's just so bad. I feel really bad for Priscilla. It's just really sad. But this is a Zodcast. I haven't done one in a while, so it's going to be kind of short. But there's a few things I wanted to get out there that to cover real quick. And this was an old newspaper photograph. I love Elvis too, Red. That Neil Arnold found, and it was the bindings used from the Zodiac's Lake Berryessa attack from in 1969. I think the photos from October 1st. Of course, the crime happened September 27th, 1969. But you see these two detectives there in Napa just holding the bindings with their bare hands. So, there was always some talk, maybe some hope that you could get some touch DNA from the bindings from Lake Berryessa, but how are you going to do it? Who knows how many people had handled that stuff since. So you would have to rule out all these guys that are probably long deceased, and it's just not going to happen, unfortunately. They tried to get the Zodiac DNA from underneath stamps, but as far as the bindings go, you're looking at the original bindings. That's a great find by Neil, by the way, to find that photograph of the bindings. But it's a bummer too, because just look at the way they're handling that stuff. Obviously, they didn't know DNA was gonna come into things so many years later, but it would have been great if they handled that stuff better with gloves and bagged it. No one ever really messed with it. So then there could have been hope with all this new cutting edge DNA stuff that they could have maybe gotten some touch DNA, because of course the Zodiac did not leave behind anything else. He didn't leave his knife behind at Lake Berryessa. That was it. The bindings that Brian and Cecilia were tied up with. So that's just really, really crazy. Yeah, I'm glad you made it, Brant. Thanks for dropping by. So another thing I wanted to cover is I was looking at Peter Ackerman stuff. Now, Peter Ackerman, I've never communicated with the guy. He's a real good researcher. He's a pro Arthur Lee Allen, his Zodiac guy, and I think he's if you look under RP Ackerman, and I think he's got a blog spot with all his research on Arthur Lee Allen, and he goes into all of Arthur Lee Allen's phraseologies and certain words he used and how they appear in some of the Zodiac letters, and he's done some really good research. I've brought him up before multiple times, and I'm not sure why he brought this up, because it really kind of hurts Arthur Lee Allen as a singular Zodiac suspect, and I believe that's what Peter Ackerman believes, that it was Arthur Lee Allen was the sole Zodiac, I think, in at least the canonical crimes and for Riverside. But he made this great point about Arthur Lee Allen being ambidextrous and being able to write with both hands. Arthur Lee Allen was born left-handed. He's a left-handed guy. He's dominant left-handed. And what Ackerman points out here is that you see that there's a Band-Aid right there. If you're looking at that photo of Arthur Lee Allen, that's from his kidney dialysis treatments that he was getting up until when he died. And he did find out where when you get dialysis, they put that catheter in your arm, the IV, in your non-dominant arm, because I know one of the main reasons is so you'll have your dominant arm to either drink or do whatever, because people sit there for hours getting that kidney dialysis. And this is, so you can see Arthur Lee Allen here. That's his right arm. So obviously that would be his non-dominant, his dominant being his left. Now he did wear his wristwatch on his left arm, which is mostly what right-handed people do like me, but a lot of left-handed people do wear their watch on their left wrist. But there's that badge, and I'm sure that's from the dialysis. And then there's a little thing I looked up here about it. It says what to expect from dialysis catheter placement. If it has been determined that you need kidney dialysis, catheter placement is an important part of your care. The catheter is an access point, meaning an entrance and exit point for the blood during hemodialysis treatment. A catheter will be placed several weeks or months before you begin dialysis so that you have time to heal. It is usually placed in your non-dominant arm. So if you are right-handed, it would be placed into your left arm. So that was kind of a neat thing for him to find out. But at Lake Berryessa, it appears at least that the Zodiac was right-handed. Why? Because when he approached Brian and Cecilia, he had a gun in his right hand to get them to comply. Now, the knife he used is the attack weapon, was holstered on his left hip, but his big iron was on his right hip. So that's generally what you would do. If you have a gun holstered on your right hip, and you're also carrying a knife, you're going to have that knife on your left-hand side in the sheath, and then you'll cross over. After you had him tied up, he probably just maybe got it out with his left hand and then put it in his right hand. Now, the only thing we have as far as a police report regarding that, and I'm going to need to blow this up, and this is a document from the Napa Police Department, because some people just say they watch the movie, and obviously when they do the reenactment of Lake Berryessa, they show the Zodiac coming at him with the gun with his right hand, and then of course with the knife, he's got it in his right hand. But could Brian Hartnell remember that? I think he could, because look at all the other stuff Brian remembered. But I have never read where Brian definitively said that the attacker had the knife in his right hand. But if you see this, it's towards the bottom on this line here. It says cloth hood, dark cloth jacket, dark pants, automatic pistol in holster, right hip, knife in sheath, left hip. So that is from an actual Napa PD document regarding that placement. So that heavily points to a right-handed person. I don't think if you're going to brandish a gun on people to try to get them to comply, especially Brian Hartnell, who was 6'7", you're going to come out with your non-dominant hand with the gun. It's not going to happen. So I don't know why Ackerman points that out, but that really is a blow to Arthur Lee Allen as the attacker at Lake Berryessa, because he was left-handed. And let me change this real quick. I want to read this article from Arthur Lee Allen's best friend. Hey, Parrothead. Of course, Arthur Lee Allen's best friend was Glenn Reinhardt. That's not disputed. And this is what Glenn Reinhardt said. Now, Glenn Reinhardt always said that Arthur Lee Allen was not the Zodiac. He was innocent. He couldn't stand it. He didn't see the movie. He gave one interview, or maybe one or two, to a couple of local news people, but he was disgusted with the whole Arthur Lee Allen and Zodiac concept. And this is an article that says the best friend of the Vallejo man, long suspected of being the Zodiac, said Friday he's fed up with those who have fingered his former diving buddy as the infamous serial killer. Glenn Reinhardt told the Times-Herald he's frustrated with media, police, and book authors who have singled out Arthur Lee Allen as the Zodiac, whose killing spree and chilling letters haunted the Bay Area in the late 1960s. And next Friday, the unsolved case hits the big screen in an $85 million Paramount Pictures film that also pins the slaying on Allen. Of course, this comes out just before the movie Zodiac, which is 2007. Count Reinhardt is one person not attending Zodiac. I'm not going to read any more about Zodiac because I'm so pissed about it, the 70-year-old semi-retired substitute teacher said Thursday from his Pacific Northwest home. My honest feeling is that the newspaper and police killed Lee Allen. You can't believe the emotional strain he went through, said Reinhardt, who called Allen by his middle name. Nobody in my family believed he did it. We would trust him with anything and everybody, and we were never let down by him, he said. While much of Allen's life has been documented in timelines, police reports, and court documents featured in books and online websites about the Zodiac, Reinhardt offers a human side to the man he considered a big brother. He also offers one of the only remaining voices defending Allen. Reinhardt said he's never spoken publicly about their relationship and only once was interviewed by two retired Vallejo detectives between 1985 and 1995, he said. I was his best friend, Reinhardt said. I can tell you for a fact that he couldn't kill a chipmunk, let alone a person. Always the eccentric, Allen actually kept wild chipmunks as pets, Reinhardt said. A detail played up in the new movie. Allen even had a great big chipmunk, Big Mamu. He would take him to the grocery store, Reinhardt said. He was a sweetheart with animals. I've never seen animals take to a person like they took to Leigh, Reinhardt said. He remembered one time at Allen's mother's Vallejo home when a pigeon tapped on the kitchen window. Allen opened the window, placed a peanut in his mouth, and the pigeon plucked it from his lips, Reinhardt said. Reinhardt first met Allen when Reinhardt's sister attended grammar school with him. A young Reinhardt messed with one of Allen's textbooks. I colored in one of his books, and he held a grudge, laughed Reinhardt. By high school, the two became inseparable, said Reinhardt, 3 years younger than Allen. The pair were on the Vallejo High School and Vallejo Junior College dive teams together, Reinhardt calls Allen his diving mentor. Both outdoorsmen, Allen and his best friend would constantly camp and hike around the area. He said, we would go to Blue Rock Springs and hike a lot. Bring a snake or bring a snake home or something, Reinhardt said. Blue Rock Springs was one side of the Zodiac's confirmed killings, as we know, when the killer shot Darlene Ferrin on July 4th, 1969. The pair left Vallejo Junior College but did not lose touch. Allen left to dive for Cal Poly in San Luis Obispo, while Reinhardt attended Cal State, Los Angeles, as a member of the football and diving teams. And then it says, 1950, Allen enlisted in the Navy. It talks about military testing, and he said he and I read about the Zodiac things when they were happening, so we must have talked about it, but I don't remember, Reinhardt said. After the killings in 68, 69, actually the killings started in 69, so I think he got that messed up. Reinhardt said he believes, it was late 68. Reinhardt said he believes Allen first became a suspect while living alone with his chipmunks in his Santa Rosa mobile home. The first time I heard Leigh talk about being a suspect was in Santa Rosa, Reinhardt said. Reinhardt said he believes police first picked up Allen's scent after a trailer park neighbor who Allen had confronted about beating a dog phoned police about his eccentric neighbor. Now, remember, Arthur Lee Allen was questioned by Detective John Lynch just after the Lake Berryessa attack, I think about a week after Berryessa, before Paul Stine was murdered. He was questioned by Detective John Lynch, and John Lynch was asked later, "Hey, why did you question? You remember why?" Because of course Allen comes up as a suspect later in 1971 when Cheney brings him forward. But this, is I've never read that anywhere else before, that Reinhardt believed maybe somebody was mad at him in the trailer park in Santa Rosa, and said, "You better look. Maybe you want to go look at this guy." So that could be why Lynch picked up on Allen and interviewed him for being, possibly being responsible for Berryessa and all the Zodiac attacks for that matter. Um, he said that was the start of police harassment that would continue until his death, Reinhardt said. Numerous times, Reinhardt said, police would walk into his work, handcuff Allen, and take him off for questioning, and including during his stint at the former Ace Hardware store on Tennessee Street. Of course, that's in Vallejo. And remember, Brian Hartnell was taken to that Ace Hardware like they show in the movie. They probably got that scene pretty right. And Brian Hartnell observed Arthur Lee Allen. I think he walked up and maybe shared a few words with him. I don't know if he actually bought something small to kind of interact with Allen. And Hartnell said, at least as per the last article that he was in a law magazine down where he's a lawyer in Loma Linda, he said that wasn't the guy. That wasn't the Zodiac. The guy that when Brian Hartnell saw Arthur Lee Allen working at Ace, he said, "This is not the guy I interacted with." And he was pretty sure about it. So that is another blow against Arthur Lee Allen for being the attacker at Berryessa. Do I think he's involved in these crimes? Yes, I've always said that, but he's not the attacker at Lake Berryessa. There's too many things going against him there for a lot of reasons. There's a lot of things going against Arthur Lee Allen for the Stein killing. One, we know that he was too heavy to have been the attacker, and then Stein shot in the right side of his head. We don't know if the Zodiac was in the front seat or the back seat, but if he's in the back seat, it would be really difficult to shoot Paul Stine in the left side of Stein's head, left-handed. You think you would have to definitely do it. It'd be easier with the right hand. So was Zodiac in the front seat or the back seat? It'd be pretty odd for him to get in the front seat. I mean, even when you get a Uber, you sit in the back seat, and definitely you do that in a cab, you would sit in the back. So it's another thing that kind of heavily points to the Zodiac being right-handed, and Allen wasn't. He was born left-handed. He could write some with his right hand because back in the day, it was a scourge to be left-handed. The teachers tried to make you write right-handed because it was just frowned upon to be left-handed. And here's a book that was put up by my friend Al Warren of House of Mystery on NBC, and because he was left-handed. I think Al's a little bit older than me, in his 50s, but they tried to get him to learn how to write with his right hand, and he's left-handed. But he had posted a picture of this book here. It says The Prevention and Correction of Left-Handedness in Children. So that's an actual book from a school, teaching you ways to make you not left-handed and start using your right. So this is probably something that Arthur Lee Allen may have had as a lefty. So it's just a huge blow against Allen to point out the fact that he was dominant left-handed, because why would you wield a gun with your non-dominant hand? And absolutely, you're not going to wield a knife stabbing two people with a non-dominant hand. It's just not going to happen. So that's a great piece that Peter Ackerman found, but it doesn't help him for Arthur Lee Allen being a lone Zodiac. And then going back to Reinhardt, it says, when suspicions grew towards Allen, investigators would enter his Vallejo house where he lived in his mother's basement and take anything they wanted, Reinhardt said. You look at some of the stuff, and he was kind of a weird guy, said Reinhardt, mentioning Allen's collection of Yan Can Cook videos and Perry Mason reruns, among other odd items. That is kind of weird, Perry Mason, because he's solving crimes. But he goes on to say he was a collector and ecologist. He recycled everything. When no one recycled, he was a little ahead of his time, his best friend said. Allen also grew his own vegetables in his backyard and could take apart a car engine in half an hour flat, Reinhardt said. Yeah, Allen he had a lot of talents. He was a great trampoline expert. He was a really good diver. I mean, he said he looked terrible once he went up to the diving board, but once he actually did his dive, they said it was just literally poetry in motion. In regards to the Zodiac watch Allen's mother gave him that police referred to in documents, Reinhardt said Allen kept weird items. it had a little design on there. I guess someone might say it was the Zodiac sign. It was. Reinhardt said he never called it a Zodiac watch, according to him. And then he makes this statement. He was really left-handed. There's no way he could write some of the stuff the Zodiac wrote, Reinhardt said. So there's another friend like Norman Dro says his name was Arthur Lee Allen. He was left-handed literally and figuratively just because of his odd ways of Arthur Lee Allen. But if you look at all the information available, it looks like Zodiac's a right-handed guy. It's just doesn't look like a lefty. I know somebody, I read a comment somebody wrote that it looks like the letters were being written by someone that was right-handed and left-handed. So that's intriguing. Could be. But for the most part, it looks like as far as the attacks are going, this looks like a right-handed attacker. And Allen just wasn't a right-handed guy. He could write some with that hand because they try to train him, but that's it. That's really the stint of it. So I like Perry Mason too, but it's interesting that Allen's watching stuff about crimes getting solved and all that. It's just, I guess that would kind of bode someone's favor as trying to make him into the Zodiac or not. But left and right, it just hurts him at Berryessa. And of course, I mentioned this so many times before. Arthur Allen was almost totally bald by the time of the Berryessa attack in September '69. He would have had to have been wearing a wig under the Zodiac hood because Brian and Cecilia both said they could see brown hair coming out of the eyelets. They both said that separately. It's not that one picked up on the other. They said it's independent of each other, that they saw the brown hair coming through the eyelets. So if that's Allen, he's wearing not only a brown wig, he's wearing one that's long enough to come through the eyelets. So that's a huge risk for that falling over his eyes. If it shifts at all, he's going to not be able to see through that Zodiac hood when he might get in a tangle with a guy that's 6'7". Allen was a stocky guy. He was 6 feet, about 250. But, Brian with that height advantage and being that young, I don't know. I mean, I think Brian could have gotten that thing under control if he got in a scuffle, and he almost did. When he asked Cecilia, "Should I make a play on the gun?" and she told him no, and then the opportunity was lost. But just one of those things. It just looks like this is a right-handed attack at Berryessa for sure, and most likely the Stein attack. We don't know about the others. Mike Mageau just had a flashlight in his face. He probably would have never been able to know, did this guy hold the gun with his right or left hand. I'm almost sure that's not written anywhere about Mike Mageau, but that's all I have for now. Thanks for everybody for tuning in. And again, rest in peace to Lisa Marie Presley. I'm really, really bummed out about that. But thanks for tuning in.